What's up, party people? This is Tarkus Jude Mossberg here from Facebook profile, Jude's Junk, Facebook comic book shop, YouTube channel, and all the socials now. Hey, what do we think about undervalued comic books? That people will say that on some of these YouTube channels. Oh, this is a very undervalued comic book. So if you're getting into buying and selling that book, does it just mean, oh, it's a great price, you should buy it now? But what about from the seller's point of view? If it's a great price and a seller thinks it is undervalued, then that seller's going to sell it for a lot more. And what happens is people get mad if you don't sell it for what they think is last sale on GPA or Go Collect, because the last sale is probably an auction that nobody was looking at, and it probably closed at 1 o'clock in the morning on West Coast and or on East Coast time, so the whole East Coast didn't get to take part in that auction, or it was on eBay that closed on a Wednesday at noon on some holiday. There's a lot of things in auctions that make last sale much lower than what your average is, but everybody wants the lowest value on GPA because it feels good to us to get, hey, I paid less than everybody else. But everybody doesn't want to do the work or have the ability to do the work to go watch all these auction houses daily and try to find that one book they want or try to find these great deals. So an undervalued comic book, Amazing Spider-Man 252 newsstand, Comic Tom and his friends have said this is highly undervalued. They've been saying that when it was down around 1,300. I think it's now around 1,500. I think some just sold for 1,800, but again, back to 1,500. And they were comparing that to Marvel Superhero Secret Wars #8, that newsstand, which came out later and isn't a special other than a cool cover and the origin, but it's not the first appearance or even one of the first appearances, like Marvel Team Up 141. But that newsstand was selling for much higher than the ASM 252. So even though all of us think the ASM 252 should sell for much more, recent sales indicate a lower amount. And a lot of people put a lot of weight on these recent sales. And so they think it's only worth what people are paying for it. And I'm here to say I disagree. It's worth what you want it to be worth, really. Like as a buyer, if you want to grab one for $2,000 because you think it might go through the roof, or you think the movie's coming, or whatever, and you're not going to be able to get it again for $1,800 or $1,500, then you might pay that. And then some people overseas have unique reasons to pay more for a book, or there's financing, which could be added fees. So there are sellers out there that see a book as undervalued. X-Men 141, 9.8, newsstand, pretty cool edge, white pages. I just dropped my little stand. Highly undervalued book. How do I know? Go look on GPA. Last sale for a signed 9.8 newsstand was like $1,000. Last sale for a signed 9.8 direct was over 1,300. We all know newsstands are worth more than direct, but that's what you see. Last reported sale of the direct is 1,300. The last 2 or 3 sales of this newsstand signed were like 1,000 to 1,100. Then you go look at the non-signed newsstand. Last reported sale was like 1,100 before shipping and tax. That's another 6% on there. So 6% is $60 at least of 1,000. So you're looking at $1,175 before, well, that includes tax. So the last newsstand without a signature was almost $1,200. Still less than the last signed direct. The point is, just because this book had some recent sales of $1,000 does not, in my eyes, mean that's its value. I'm going to value it at $2,000. I'll give it up for $2,000. I won't give it up for less. Will someone buy it? Maybe not now. People often complain about all these high prices on eBay. You got to understand, there's only one person in the world that has the cheapest price in the world. That's it. There's only one person that has that at the cheapest price. And a lot of buyers want everybody to sell it for the same as that one guy who wants to sell it right away, right now. He needs the cash. All other 99.99% of the people are charging more for that book than the person who's charging the cheapest. So when you look at it that route, every one of us who aren't the cheapest, and often I will say I am the cheapest. Often my PayPal goods and services is I'm the cheapest anywhere out there. Even if the last sale on GPay was 100, if I'm marketing it at 200, I'm the cheapest anywhere in the world. And I know some of these people might not like it, then they just don't buy it from me. But if nobody else in the world is willing to put a book up for sale for 100 and I'm still the cheapest at 200, I'm okay with that. Because we don't know all the things that are going in the background. Why is no one else selling it? Why is no one else selling it for less than that? What is going on? I don't have to know the whole world and all the speculation. I just need to know who's the cheapest out there, what's going on, and I try to undercut it. So, Uncanny X-Men 141, newsstand signed, highly undervalued. Selling for less than the regular newsstand not signed, selling for less than the direct signed. It doesn't make sense. So I'm going to put it up for $2,000 and I'm going to get people to squawk at it. And you might even be able to find it for under that. There's still people out there that just want to sell it and all they care about is what the last sales are. And there's a few of those, but X-Men 141, one of the most epic books of all time. Newsstand just raises the epicness of it. I mean, I love Claremont. A lot of people are like, hey, he's signed so many books, he's not worth that much of a bump. I disagree. I've seen a lot of X-Men values bump pretty high. For example, I think the regular direct is like $750 and the regular newsstand is like $1,200. So it's almost 100% more the newsstand versus direct. And then when you look at the bump for the newsstand, the direct sign was $1,300. The direct regular is like $700. So that's almost 100% increase. Those are the last sales. And so in my eyes, the direct, the newsstand sign should be about twice as much as the newsstand not signed, which was last sold for $1,200. But when we say things are undervalued, that means there's other buyers out there that disagree with me. They're willing to sell it for $1,000, $1,100, $1,200. But a lot of us buyers are holding on to it because we know where the mutant market is going. We know that ASM 252 newsstand is worth more than 1,300, which it was just a few months ago. We know that X-Men 141 is worth more than what it's selling for now. So we're not going to sell it. We're going to hold on to it. And that doesn't mean that anybody did anything wrong. That just means I'd rather keep the book than get $1,500 for it. And $1,500 is more than what people are paying on eBay. And so we'll see how much flack I get, but it's an example of an undervalued book. And the question, because what does that mean, undervalued, though? If I can still go out and buy it, then it's not undervalued. That's what. So yeah, you're right. You're right. There's someone that's going to sell that X-Men 141 signed newsstand for $1,000. And if I were you guys, I'd buy as many of those as you can. Those ASM 252s 9.8 newsstands, buy as many as you can. Comic Tom and his other guy are always talking about undervalued books, undervalued keys. And I wish I had a whole bunch more of examples, but there are big keys that got lost because the focus is on speculation in the movies. Even Comic Tom, when they're doing the valuations, they're like, I don't know why this book is spiking. There's nothing going on in the movies, maybe the cartoons, maybe a video game. And it's quite possible it's spiking because it's way too low. And they'll say that sometimes, but often they're looking for a reason. Why is it going up? Because we just had the lowest market in a long, long time in this last year. And people realize it's not going down any further. The books are now rebounding, the bigger keys. And so people are like, I want to get back in. I want to get back in. I want to get out of the market. I want to get back into collectibles. They're seeing what's going on with Pokemon and all that. I want to get back in and I want to buy all the keys. So anyways, it was an interesting thought. What does undervalued mean? Um, it would mean things to different people. I don't think every seller looks at all the analysis that I do when they put a book up. They just strictly say, hey, last book was 1,000, 90-day average is 1,000, so it's worth 1,000. But I take more time to look into it because the numbers will tell a story to me about what's going on with this book. If the last sale of a direct sign is 1,300 and the bump is almost 100% from a Claremont signed versus a non-signed, I would get as many as I can. I just can't afford to go out and buy a whole bunch. I have other books. I have a lot of books that I'm buying. I think I just spent 12, 15 grand in the last 2 weeks alone. I got some bangers. I thought the auctions didn't have good deals, and I was getting bummed out because I just wasn't buying anything. And then I had someone buy a whole bunch of big books, and I had some money. And then what I see happening is sometimes there's 3 or 4 big auctions all of the exact same day. And you have people that can watch an auction, but can they watch an auction closely on 4 big auctions that are all closed in the same day? And when you go ship your books into these auctions, you don't know when they're going to sell it in many cases. You don't know what day it's going to come out. They tell you. And if they don't do their coordination, and all the big, and then not all the big auction houses, 2 to 3 of the big auction houses have it up. Then you have My Comic Shop in the background. Then you have Heritage in the background. Then you have the small comic auction houses. And it's surprising how many of these auction houses don't compare notes to see when other people are doing their auctions. They just put it on their calendar, what works best for them. And every few months, there's this deluge of 4 or 5 big auctions. You know, they have the premier auction and then the little ones. They'll have premier auctions happening all at the same time. And the first few days, a lot of books go for price. But as a big buyer, we get the deals and then we run out of money. And so by the 3rd, 4th, 5th day, the big books that were toward the end, the ones that might start with later letters like X, like S for Spawn, X-Men, the A's, Batman's and Amazing Spider-Man's go first, but the ones toward the end might be on the 3rd, 4th day, and you can get some good deals. So that's just some insight on the auctions. And this all takes a play into what these are selling for. These aren't just buy it now prices for 1,000 on eBay. These are people getting a steal on an auction because of different things happening. So when we say it's undervalued, someone might have just gotten a couple good steals on an auction, and I come along and want to sell it. Oh, I can't get any more than 1,000 because that's what the last guy sold it for, and I want to move it quick because I know everybody doesn't want to pay more than the last sale. And I think that thinking hurts buyers and sellers when we're constantly just looking at the last sale. Back in the 80s and 90s, we looked at the 1-year average. We didn't have these huge spikes because the Overstreet Price Guide kind of give you an average for the year. And you in your heart knew that a book was going up or going down just because how many were available or who was talking about it or what was going on. And we didn't have all these price guides outside of Overstreet. And it was already like 9 months to a year old by, when you're using it. So the onslaught of available information, quick available information, actually can hurt the value of these books or the perceived value of these books. Anyways, a lot of people say I ramble on. I like chatting with you guys. I wish I could chat with you more. I wish there could be some more live interaction. But undervalued books, that is an interesting term on who's undervaluing it versus buyer and or seller. Anyways, happy hunting, guys.